That's exactly where we were before my device decided to do something strange. Yeah, and it's just having the confidence, like we said, to be in the category that best suits you and your physique and your figure, so you can showcase your best version of yourself. Because the posing in different categories can be polar opposite. So if your body looks better in specific poses, then you're going to get judged in a different way than if you were doing an alternate category and it didn't showcase everything you've worked for.
Yeah, because you know, as we go this process of bodybuilding, you go in thinking, okay, I think I'm bikini, but then when you train, the dieting and everything you do in
The
that
cut,
process,
yeah.
the cut, and you start looking, you know what? I look more like figure because some women can put on muscle just like that.
Mm.
Some people have,
Like,
yeah, genetics, natural talent. That's the two things that can kick in when it comes to be a bodybuilder.
yes, no, definitely for sure. For some people, they can gain muscle in different areas quicker. They can lose body fat in areas quicker than others. Like usually for women, it's up to down. My legs are the last to go, and that's just personally for me. That's how I cut. So my top half's quite lean at the moment, and my abs, but my lower half, it's more stubborn. Basically, and that's how we're made up usually as women. I'm not going to speak for every woman, but for me personally, that's how I'm made. So, 16 weeks out, and I'm starting to see changes, but my lower half probably won't cut out fully until a couple of weeks out.
Because that's why I think it's more divisions in for women than there are for men. Men we're a bit for sideways. We're like slender. We're smaller waist, broader shoulders. Women come in so different shapes and sizes. You can be slender, broader. That's why you have divisions like wellness, bikini, fit model, physique, women's bodybuilding. Some women can put on muscle a lot more. Some women are more naturally leaner.
Mm.
It's working with. That's why it works with the build of different people. And with fit model, excuse me, it's divisions as throwback to what women started out in physique. I mean, in bikini. But here's
Yes,
my
yes.
thing with it. It's going to evolve just like all the other divisions. Like if I go back to women's bodybuilding when it first started, the early women, they used to wear high heels like figure, and then they kicked out the high heels. They looked more like, I would say, early version of figure. Then they evolved. Then you look at someone like, you ever heard some ladies say, you ever follow bodybuilding like Linda Murray? She, a lady I interviewed a while back talked about her. She was, I think, the precursor strategy for women's physique. You look at people like Iris Kyle, one lady who I'm a fan of, and I talk about her, because I think she's so beautiful. To me, she's a woman who changed the aspect of having muscle and femininity in bodybuilding. I don't know if you ever heard of her. That is Andrea Shaw. She's the current
Oh wow, yeah.
six-time Miss Olympia, and and I think when she came in, she changed the aspects of the sport. I'm gonna share this with you, and this is a friend of mine named Eunice. She runs a company called Bad Rap. I'll send you a link to check it out. They do, they work with bodybuilders. They also sell and make products for use, especially for women. She was at the 2023 Olympia. This is what she picked me up. This is like she sent to me the week after my 50th birthday. And this is a gift she gave to me. And what makes this gift special, not only that I'm a fan of this lady, she saw her at the Olympia and she signed it for me.
Oh, amazing.
And you know what? Whenever I get little things from people like my friend Eunice and the other ladies I've done interviews with, I appreciate it. This is what keeps me going. Like as because like I said, you want to be bodybuilder for quite so long. Is it other than your coach? Is there anybody you really admire as an athlete in the sport?
So, because I'm pretty much very new to this environment, I don't have anyone in specific at the moment. I think it's because of me going into fit model as well, and because it's quite a new category. For me, it's like you said, my coach and my friends, the people I look up to most, because I have close connections to my friends and my family. It's so important for me to relate to them more than say someone that I am never going to meet. So that is really important for me. So moving forward, you know, I'm sure I have idols and people I look up to, but right now, being very fresh in this environment, I'm still finding my feet, if I'm really honest, really honest.
That's respectful, because you know what I say, you're fresh and wet off the line, how we say it here.
I am. I'm the newbie. I'm the one, you know, that's only done one prep, and I'm here to be open and honest about, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how I am incredibly fresh to this environment. I'm not here. I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the knowledge in the world, or, you know, my posing's the best. You know, I'm not going to do that, because that in life there's always going to be someone bigger than you, better than you, prettier than you, and, you know, we can just continuously aspire to be better. So I think for me, especially, you know, being a woman, as you know, and empowering women, you know, we're all different shapes, sizes, our DNA is completely different, and I think it's so important to empower everyone's journey in alignment to your own, really. So it's just having the respect for everyone's journey, however they may do it. And it goes back to being natural or not natural. Just because I'm natural doesn't mean I don't respect people that aren't natural. You know, it's their journey, and if they wish to do it that way, that's great. You know, I'll always support anyone's journey.
That's good. That's what, especially, I think it's important to have that support with somebody who has that same common interest. Sometimes women, y'all can't be catty. y'all can, you know, I think with men, if like this is where I was growing up, sometimes we would go as kids, we were bored, we fight, and then, you know, in the end of the fight, we'd be best buds, we'd be buddies, you know. But when you girls fight, and sometimes the girl fights for fun because we get to see a little something like me like that, you know. But y'all go all out, y'all live for the grudge. You like the Outlaw Josie Ware. That's a classic Clint Eastwood movie, if you ever saw it. And that's the thing, is that you got to find that camaraderie in this sport, because again, this sport can be mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially draining. And
Mm-hmm.
for women, there's more of a cost. Guys do have their costs; they have their expenses. True, you know, but for show day for men, all they gotta do is put on a pair of banana hammocks and boy shorts. That's it. For women, you have to have a great presentation. Your suits must be nice and well put together, beautiful, sparkly. Your hair, your makeup must be, you know, good. Your shoes, your nails, everything has to be uh
Yes,
immaculate,
so.
just about, yeah. And then the cost of is, you know, you have to pay for your fees as an amateur, travel to the shows. And you know, this sport, unless you're the lucky few to have sponsorship, it can be expensive. So are you a sponsor athlete?
No, no, not a sponsored athlete. You know, GBO show, there's opportunities for sponsorships, which has been great. You know, more funding for the show, for the competitors, to put on a great show for everyone. So there are opportunities within the show itself, but I personally am not sponsored as an individual as such, no.
Yeah, I think that does help the cost of travel,
Sure.
expenses, your
Oh,
coach's
yeah.
costs, because you know he's not doing this for free. You know, you gotta pay him. I know quite a few people just say sometimes, Georgie, sometimes I have to steal from Paul to pay Peter, because you know the circumstances of the sport. It seems a hobby sport. It's not as, you know, well known compared to other sports. But bodybuilding been around for a long time. Quite a few bodybuilders,
Mm,
especially from the UK, people like Dorian Yates, Bodak. Also, there's Lisa Cross. And ladies I've done interviews with, Amanda Watson. Today's her birthday. She follows me on IG. I want to wish her happy birthday, Winston. Quite a few ladies that are coming from your part of the world. A guy I know, he just did a video talking about how the UK is really growing, really blowing up
mm.
the last few years when it comes to bodybuilding. I mentioned earlier Mariana Scottson and several other women and men who compete from your part of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. There's a lot more going on than there used to be. There's a lot more awareness as well, and acceptance. It's growing. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. But previously, you know, if you were to say you were a competitor in a bodybuilding show, everyone would automatically go, oh, well, you've got to be hench, or you've got to look a certain way, or we've got to be this, or got to be that. Whereas there's understanding awareness now of the categories, like we spoke about, and understanding, you know, the prep that goes into things. So I think we've come away for sure. There's still a lot of people that don't understand what goes into it or everything that it involves. But, you know, we're here to educate. and hopefully, you know, get more people interested and on board, and yeah, get fit.
Hmm. Like I said, I got through you by Casey Calhoun. What's that like? Y'all two are two up and coming competitors. How y'all meet and how did how y'all get together?
Oh, it's an amazing journey. So we met on a Facebook page for first time competitors, and we just hit it off. We were just chatting. You know, we spoke about where we were from. Most recently, we've spoken about like trying to meet up, like me traveling over to meet her in person, maybe competing, obviously abroad for me. So we chat most days, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Obviously, we're in different time zones. So she's, I think, about 5 hours behind me. So there's usually one of us awake at some point. So in the middle of the night here, like she'll message me, we'll chat. And likewise, she was there through my last prep. And yeah, I shared all my demons with Casey. So yeah, never get Casey in a room alone by herself because she might give away all my demons and my dark thoughts. They're secrets.
Well, that's good that you found somebody, especially from another part of the world, that you have a common bond with.
Amazing.
Being, both from different parts of the world, different divisions, different lifestyles. I recently
Amazing.
we're talking. She recently had moved because she was living somewhere around,
Yes.
Michigan, upper state, and she moved. Her and her husband moved, and that's good to find camaraderie with someone who's like a total stranger and then find bonds.
Oh,
Me,
so close. So
yeah,
close.
yeah. And me doing this content, that really helps me. I formed bond with quite a few ladies. Like a while back, we had Thanksgiving, here in the States. I visited a lady I met when I was in when I went to Tampa, Florida. She did an interview about her name is Kristen Ware. We hanged out. Even we worked out a bit. I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sometimes I can't move like I used to, but I hit old boy on his own, and we conversate. And when I talk to you ladies and hear your stories and share them to them, because I want people to understand, bodybuilding is not about these big, huge muscle people. There's different types, different shapes, different looks, and then also the aspect what comes about to women, because again, this is attractive woman, guys. And I've seen women who are just as attractive as you get comments referring to, you got muscles on there, love. You're getting too much. You're getting too big. You're too muscular. You're trying to be like me, a man.
Yeah, yeah. That my most recent post. There's a picture of me in a red bikini, and one of the comments is, if I can remember rightly, too butch. And I'm like, okay. And to be honest, I took that as a compliment because I really don't think I'm butch in the great scheme of things at all. So for me, I was like, I'll take that any day.
What man call you butch? What the hell? Man, I'm a Southern gentleman. I'm from the South. A woman like you, you're a pretty lady. I will never call you butch. I'll call if you look like if you're a female that looks like a butch, I wouldn't say that to you. But it doesn't make sense
It
because
doesn't. But we have to remember everyone is entitled to their opinion and their freedom of speech. So, and as you know, social media, good and bad and the ugly, there will be things that are said on there that maybe people don't like, and we have to take it with a bit of a pinch of salt. If that's his opinion and I'm butch, then God help butcher people than me, because really he's going to come across a lot more people that are bigger than me.
Well, like I said, I've been called things and I've been called worse by better people. And I tell you the truth, if you don't like what you like, here's the thing is, don't say nothing, mind your own business, move on. You can go look at wherever you want to look at. Again, I don't get it. I don't see it. I used to work different jobs. I mean, the jobs I work with women a lot. I worked 13 years in textiles. I was around women, different shapes, different sizes. I worked several years at as they call it, you might call it a petrol station. I call it a gas station here in America. I worked with my ladies. I worked with cashiers, and also I worked several years in a gentleman's club, or is it a strip club, or we call it a booty club in the hood. And there was different women, different shapes and sizes. What you think might be your standard of beauty not be somebody else's? One man's trash is another man's treasure. And you have a man who stands by you and supports you, he loves you. I don't know, I would, again, I saw a picture of her with I don't know how to be cool with it again. I know he's your friend, but we're men. And and again, we're men. We sometimes, hey, some, I've raised up friends, and some of them we were more than friends, you know, that. But it's this thing is it's about respecting somebody's decision to find something that's a passion that drives them. And
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilding is both a sport and a passion.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally agree. And my partner is on board, and he understands that there's depths of prep that I go to, and yeah, there's some bits that he doesn't like, and there's some bits that my family don't like. There's some bits that my friends don't like. Even my kids when they're eating, a little bit of cake or whatever on the weekend, and I don't participate in it, and so there's certain things I have to sacrifice to be able to do this. But I'd like to hope and think that I have a balance and I have restrictions, but it's not forever. This is a very short term, I don't want to call it an issue, but a short term, what people think is an issue for a really long term goal. After my show, I'll eat more cake. That's okay. It's always the cake's always going to be there, but this show isn't always going to be there. So if I miss this snippet of opportunity, and I sacrifice it for something like a piece of cake when I can just eat whenever after, I'm just looking at the bigger picture, that's it. And for me as well, being neurodiverse and having such a rigid mind, it's been really helpful because my kids will be eating something that I can't eat, but my brain's checked in, and that's out of bounds, and that's okay. And I don't even miss it. I know a lot of people in prep really struggle because they're looking at cake and chocolate and sweets, and they get really upset or really disheartened that they can't eat it. Whereas thankfully, I don't have that. I don't get that because when my brain's checked in, it's checked in.
Yeah, it's about that's what's important about having discipline when you get into bodybuilding, because temptations out there, like just had Christmas just passed, holidays, your babies are still young where they like to eat like mac and cheese and have a nice little burger and stuff like that. And then, mommy, can you want to have some cake with us? Say no, baby, I'm on my diet. I can't. And it's be smelling good. Be like. You're like,
I know. But the great thing is about, people that you work with and your coach is that if like previously when I have messed up, when I've messed up in prep and I've binged, it's just the open honesty, transparency. Anyone's got a coach, just be transparent with your coach, because I think coaches find it really hard when, you've not been honest, and then you can't work together and can't come up with a solution. Whereas I could go to my coach now and I could message him and say, I've just eaten a whole cake and I've totally messed up, and we would just come up with a plan and we would overcome it. So yeah. And I never like to look at foods. I don't like calling foods good or bad foods, because I think that is a recipe for potentially an eating disorder. I like to I call foods special purpose foods. So at the moment I'm on a special purpose plan to get where I need to be. And if I eat cake or chocolate, that's because it had a special purpose in my plan, whether it's sugars, fats, anything like that. So I don't ever like to label good and bad food. That is a big ick of mine. So that's really helped me moving forward, because now I don't look at food and I panic. Whereas I used to panic. If I saw a piece of chocolate, I'd panic and start sweating. Whereas now I just go, it's got a purpose. In a diet, whether it's a plan or a lifestyle choice, that has a purpose. It's not good or bad.
Well, I'm gonna ask you this for my other half. It says, where's that thing, that food that, as I call it, it's the thing that makes you stranger but makes you stronger. That thing that calls you. Stare at me, Hannah. Where's that food that's it's your addiction? That food that completes you.
The food that completes me, if I had to choose. Oh gosh, where do I start? I'm such a foodie. I love food. So it'd be anything, and anything from, muffins to cookies to any type of pistachio chocolate, Dubai chocolate. My partner knows me well enough to know I can sit and eat. I can out eat most men, which is ironic because people look at me and go, there's no way. Hours I can sit and eat.
I tell you, I know women who are built like you. I have a niece who outate my older brother, her brother, and my younger brother.
I'm her.
Both
I'm
her uncles and her older brother. She grew up with with a lot of boys. She grew up like
yeah.
well, she was for a long time. She was the only granddaughter until my brother had his daughter, and it's just women. And I've talked to quite a few bodybuilders and bodybuilders in general are foodies because food is both a tool and a weapon from it. You can get pleasure
Mm.
from it, and it's part of your process as you grow. It's about the right foods. You can't eat this or that. You can't have the bangers and mash as y'all have over there. It's just sausage and beans. You have to eat the right foods in your process. We have someone here in the comments section because it's really early in the morning. I don't have too many guys coming through here, but hey, they come here early saying, "Shout out to my man, a man, Jeremy from the Art of Female Bodybuilding. He's a content maker and also follows the sport like myself. Says, what is fit body division? What would it be compared to here in the States?"
So obviously, so I thought Fit Model was in the States. I
No,
thought
he's
we
talking about
were
fit body, because I think that's kind of
Fit
like,
Body.
I think
Yeah,
it's kind of,
Fit Model. Yeah.
no,
Oh, I see.
it's fit body because I think it's kind of like a version of figure and
Oh,
physique.
okay.
I don't know. I don't think she do fit body. She do fit model and she does some bikini.
Fit model, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
If we're
it's
talking
a
about fit bodies, many people have fit bodies, but yeah, fit model is a category, and then you've
yeah.
obviously got bikini. But obviously, there may be other categories that I'm unaware of.
Yeah,
So
because she's
yeah,
still brand new. She's still brand new, Jeremy. Because Fit Body, I think other organizations like a PCA,
mm,
NBAA, also I think NABA, they had that division
yeah.
because they do more poses. It's like figure with high heels and they do more posing. A little, that's what it looks like. If you ever do any other organizations, I don't know if GBO has it. You can always check. They can tell you about it. But yeah, shout out to my man Jeremy. Thank you for the good question.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that's the thing about the process of growing, developing, and also dieting and training, and you mentioned again your family, like your rest of your family, like your parents. What were they
Mm.
thought when their little girl is like on a stage nearly butt naked?
I think they were more concerned about like my health. I think my parents in their 60s and 70s, both of them, I think that they have a historical view of what fitness was and used to be. And to bring them up to date, for them personally, I'm not saying this is for every 60 or 70-year-old, to bring them up to date with like nutrition, training, different elements of prep, they didn't understand it at all. They went into panic. They just saw my body fat dropping, and they just, they said skinny, we think you're skinny, we think you're not, this isn't okay, this is not what you should be doing. And actually now on my second prep, they're really, really supportive, and they've been educated to understand certain things that we do as bodybuilders in prep to get a certain outcome. And they're super proud. Kids proud, seeing their mum achieve something, which is great. And I think that's so important for children. People, I don't know, if not everyone has children, they may have nieces, nephews, or they may just not, have any family. But for children now growing up, a 5 or 6-year-old, walking past someone in the street and going, wow, isn't that amazing to hopefully like enrich their future, knowing that they can look up to someone, especially women as well. I love to empower women, like especially for a woman, little children to look up to women and go, either I want to be like that or aspire to that, and just be a really good role model for the next generation. I think it's just so important.
That's the point because you know what is I said this: our mothers, y'all are our first true loves. My mother and father were together for 55 years, even though my dad was living up in New Jersey for the last 30 of it, and my mom was here with North Carolina with the rest of us with the kids. And I don't have kids of my own, but I do have nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, and seeing them, you know, striving and doing something better than what we had to do. My parents were sharecroppers. They worked to man's land day and night, and raising us and, trying to, feed a family. And then, my big brother, he was my older brother, James. He was the one who was kind of like, for us, he was kind of like the father figure in the family because me and my nephews, my nieces, he was the guy we looked up to him. He's been gone for 20 years. And I really got into this because he used to lift weights. He played football here, American football here
Mm.
in our hometown. He did pretty good. He even went to college, and he really, both of them, both those two people, especially those that really had an impact on my life growing up, taught me things. Because one thing, my mother taught me what I need to do for adult people, like my brother and my uncles, my grandfathers taught me what I need to do as a man. And
Mm.
children, they need that. They need that fundamentals in life, and also to
Mm.
know that people are different shapes and sizes. I've had conversations with ladies that sometimes children be amazed by, especially if they're a female bodybuilder, because they look like you're a superhero. But then you have to deal with the other people, the adults, who can ruin it because of what they think of women like yourself. And and yes, you're a bit lean. As I think your mother said, I love. How about have a biscuit? I don't. Have something
Yeah,
like
that's what they do. Oh, why don't you just have one biscuit? It won't hurt.
yeah, you want to have one biscuit here, have a little, have a little, this and that, hey, you eat, because the thing
And
is,
as parents, we're feeders. I do it to my own children. As a mother, I'm a feeder. That's in our DNA. That's what we were meant to do, is raise children and feed them so they're full and they're big and they can go and take on the world. And yeah, for them, they can't do that to their daughter, but I can do it to my boys.
well, my mom did it to us, but the rest of it's my fault because and and again, like I say, that's good because you know what, that shows that you want your children to be healthy, to have something. That's important to be a parent. That's I will say this is always been one of my grades is not having children of my own. Close to the head was one of my nephews. He was like, you talked to one of your children are autistic. I had a nephew. He was also autistic, and me and my mother took care of him till he was like about 5 years old. And when my mom got sick, his mom came and got him. He's 15 now, and I look at him. I want to cry because that was my baby. I used to get him to go to school, get him cleaned up. My mom got sick. One time she told me, "Don't be washing that boy. It's cold today. It's not that cold, mom. Just get the boy washed. He smells. You got to get ready for school." I had to play the parent, and that's the thing is, that's a lovely thing. See your children grow. Children can be a expense, but also they are both a pleasure and a pain. But that's just one of the things about being a parent and being an adult.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like you said, like one of my boys, neurodiverse, and I think as well another reason for me doing the things I'm doing, pushing myself to limits that I am, is because I've recognised that neurodiversity, no matter what shape or form, is a hell of a superpower. Previously, I worked in jobs where I worked with neurodiverse people, and I learned so much about myself through their different views on life. And I always say with neurodiversity with children or adults or whoever, we shouldn't expect them to step into our world. We should always step into theirs and try and view it in the way that they view it, because they could look at a blue sky and see 1,000 colors that we can't see. So it really is a superpower. So yeah, big respect really to everyone that may be neurodiverse, or some people only find out later in life as well. So it's big respect to people that are going through a process to understand themselves better. And for me, my neurodiversity has really helped in terms of my bodybuilding journey. Turning up every day, showing up every day. I love consistency, I love routine, I love pattern. And that's my neurodiversity, my personal version. So it's really helped me. So that's why I call it the superpower.
Yeah.
100% all day long.
That's your gift. That's something that helps you in your process. Because one thing I've talked to ladies is it's not about so much is trusting the process, it's understanding it. And when you understand it, then you can trust it fully. Because you don't want to just put yourself to something you don't know nothing about. You have to research it. No ladies say, "Well, I just jump into it. I just gotta lift weights and do that." No, there's so much more to it when you get into the sport, because it can take a lot of your time. It can take a lot of your mindset to focus on it. You might have to put some people to the side, because I've talked to ladies that sometimes relationships have changed because you're not making a sacrifice, you're making an investment to improve on yourself. Friendships, relationships. I mean, again, family, because I know ladies sometimes they have talked to their families in years because they got to a sport because it's so extreme of it. But then this is something about you, not about them. If they can't stand by you and support you, that's their problem. So one thing I'm going to ask you again is, we talk about sweets and stuff like that. Like after your last show, after that long prep, And after that, and there was a hankering, and I often ask these questions, being a fat man myself. Share with me, Hannah. Share with me that thing that you wanted the most after your last show. What did that thing that you desired that was calling you?
So the irony is, all I wanted was a really large Biscoff cheesecake. I love cheesecake. I love cheese. I love cake. So the combination of cheesecake is heaven. But the irony was, I didn't eat it after my show. I looked at it and I didn't even want it. And it was the saddest thing, because everything was ready, everyone bought me donuts and burgers and I just remember looking at it and feeling so overwhelmed. I never ate the cheesecake. So it was sad times. It was sad times, but I think that was more mindset. I think when you've done something so long religiously, you can either go one way or the other, and you can kind of step off stage and just want to stuff your face full. But for me, I was feeling depleted. I was feeling low. My stomach had shrunk. I hadn't eaten much that day. And yeah, I never ate the cheesecake. So next time round, I'll keep posted and I'll try again. It'll be Hannah Volume 2 with tackling the cheesecake post-show. I'll see if I can manage it.
Yeah, I'm not much for cheesecakes. I know my sisters and my brothers, they love it, but I'm not much for it. I'm a good old fashioned. My mom used to bake these 6-layer cakes. Handmade, bake them. She had gotten either because we were poor folks, so chocolate was kind of expensive. So sometimes she take and use jelly. Or if she could get chocolate, she'd get chocolate. And it'd be nice. I remember one time, this was like about several Christmas ago, and she couldn't do much anymore because she was in a wheelchair. She could move around a lot. And she said, "George, you're gonna cook a cake." I said, "What?" So she was instructing me, and I did pretty good. It wasn't a pretty cake. And I said, "Well, you want to taste it, Mom?" I said, "Yeah." Give her a slice, taste it. Said, she said, "Son," she looked in my face, said, "Son, it's not pretty, but it tastes good." That made me so proud when she told me that, because you know what? That again, I say this: my mother was my woman. I don't have, like I said again, I had relations, but not relationships. But she was my woman. She was the number one person in my life, and I stood by her when she was going through. Because one thing, she stood by me because several years ago, I have a pacemaker, had it for 12 years, and she stood by me while I was going through my stuff, and now it was my turn to sit by her. And that's the thing about this sport. There's so many physical and mental aspects that can be a struggle. The temptation of food, the temptation of going out and going to the pubs and hanging with your friends, doing this. I know sometimes your man said, "Hey, baby, let's go have some fun. Let's get the babysitter for the kids. Let's do something. Let's do something. Let's do some grown people things." But then, like I said, "No, baby, I have to work out. I got a show coming up. I want to derail this opportunity for myself." And it's good that you have somebody who supports you in that.
Oh yeah, 100%, and it can make it easier in many ways, having the support. And shout out to anyone that does this totally alone and isolated, because like I said, those demons, they are there and they will haunt you in times and places that you don't expect them. So actually having that person there, even if it's just a conversation, just to talk about the weather or absolute nonsense, to take your mind off whatever demons you're dealing with, it's great. So yeah, I do appreciate that some people don't have that. So it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, because you got to put a lot of your whole heart and your whole soul into the sport. And the decision to make that decision to get on stage, like for you being out there, what was that feeling for yourself that first time? All the work, all the practice, all the training, all the posing, and then to be out there and to present your body and do as well as you have done.
If I'm honest, I was shaking like a leaf. I'm surprised I even managed to hold any poses because my whole body was shaking. It really was. Your adrenaline, everything is going at 100 mile an hour. And then things like you've posed so hard and practiced so hard all hours, and then you forget it. You're blinded by the lights. You can hear music, you can hear cheering. You're trying to concentrate when they're saying quarter turn,